Hello, people. Before I start talking about AirPower, I would like to thank Future Snow for actually pushing me to do it. Like, I really want to do one on AirPower, but he finally had the impetus to push me to actually do this, so I really appreciate it, dude, and thanks for the support. Now, let's talk about AirPower. So, of course, as you people already know, AirPower has been canceled yesterday. And for those of you that haven't read the full statement but only know it's been canceled, which is the worst time to cancel a product for me because Friday, that's yesterday, at around noon, I was at Apple Park, so like it's the worst time to receive that news. But I also joked that I can probably kill that person that's actually responsible for the cancellation. But yeah, this is the statement. After much effort, we've concluded AirPower will not achieve our high standards and we have canceled the project. We apologize to those customers who were looking forward to this launch. We continue to believe that the future is wireless and are committed to push the wireless experience forward, said Dan Riccio, Apple's Senior Vice President of Hardware Engineering, in an email statement today. So that's Friday. Um, there's been a lot of talk, and I'm not gonna delve into it because everyone knows, but I'm more here to talk about what I think about it. If you're asking me personally, does that affect you, Icon? Not really. For the simple reason that I've been using cables anyway. Like, I have never used a wireless charging pad. Well, I have, but that's for my external battery. But, I charge my phone. I rarely charge it when I'm out and about. I usually have a full battery before I leave the house. So it's not really a problem. But I do use it, but even then, it's for one device. I don't charge two or three devices. So if you're asking me if paying $160 is really worth it for something that I just find cool, logistically, no. So I'm gonna buy it still, but it's not gonna impact me on a personal level. But what about like just why? And I can tell you a few reasons why. The actual device itself has 8 different coils. As you know, if you want to wirelessly charge something, there has to be coils uh, from both the charger and the device to actually transfer power. This is how wireless charging works. And so you do need coils to allow the electrons to pass through. And because AirPower's design is to let you put it anywhere you want, the coil itself has to be there has to be multiple coils. It couldn't just be 3 coils because what if the device you want to charge fits right between two of those coils? So it wouldn't work. So they have to make it 8 coils. And number two is that all 8 coils have to be powered up because number one, they have to detect where the device is. And number two, they want to charge the device as quickly as possible. And so they actually have to power it up. And what happens when coils that are like, they have actual electric connections that are powered up very close to each other, it will become hot, first of all. And number two, it could become very dangerous because, again, when you pack it so tightly, you literally cannot have any deformation, otherwise, it's going to short circuit and burn down the house. So, especially for me, because all my devices, all my batteries inside those devices, all my cables, and all my power adapters are so closely put together, it's more dangerous for me. And apparently, this is an issue that the Apple engineers have been struggling. Originally, in late 2017, when they announced iPhone 10, they also announced uh, an optional wireless charging case for the AirPods and this AirPower mat. And of course, Phil Schiller famously remarked that it's going to happen next year. He's referring to 2018. Of course, 2018 came and went. There's no sign. Apparently, this coil issue is so big that, and turns out to be way more difficult to achieve than expected. And I don't think for a lack of trying, because late 2018, when those AirPods 2 boxes were printed, that's why you're seeing uh, the the boxes with an illustration of AirPower, because those were printed late 2018, because it even says it's copyright 2018. So they did try. It's not like they just folded their arms after a few months. No, they did try to push this out, and they really want to try to continue the tradition of, okay, so we pulled the headphone jack, now we're going to give you AirPods. Okay, so we're going to have wireless charging, now we're going to have our supreme solution. And of course, AirPods turns out to be a resounding success, and Apple, of course, anticipated that if AirPower gets a release, that it would be, a similar resounding success, because Apple will engineer these solutions. So I'm definitely not as pissed as people when they ditch uh, the headphone jack, or when they introduce wireless charging and then they try to come up with a solution, because I know they'll get it done. But in this particular scenario, because of all the dangers, and just it just couldn't happen in such a small form factor. It's basically the thickness. If you know what the Apple Watch magnetic charging dock looks like, it's basically the same thickness, but with the embedded coils, with a three-layer 332. So the top layer is 3 coils, the second layer is 3 coils, and the bottom layer has 2. So for a total of 8 coils in that compact space, about the same thickness. It's very easy to see why that could be a problem. And there's tons of Reddit engineers that are way more qualified than I am that can point out to you immediately that the design is not likely to work. So that's that. Am I really sad that AirPower is not coming out? Not really. I mean, sure, I have a fund of $170 ready to go, but I know that this device is not an easy device to make, and maybe it's just an overestimation of the current technology. And I will praise Apple for pushing it forward, but I think sometimes they do have to curtail their expectations a bit. A bit like the Jobsian Apple, where technology has been proven to work like that. Not something that is, but it's uh, configured in the way that is pushing the envelope, instead of trying to draw a technology out of thin air. So that's the market difference. And really, um, if you ask me too, what's the biggest difference between Jobs and Apple and Tim Cook's Apple, I would say this. So it's like they try to do a lot that's maybe not proven yet, whereas Steve Jobs would take proven technology, but he saw a better way of doing it, and he did it. And so it is a rare cancellation. I don't think in my many years of following Apple that there has been a product canceled. It's mostly postponed by a while, but never canceled. So of course it's very unusual. Of course, people are gonna come out of the woodwork and like shit on Apple, but we know what they're trying to achieve. And of course, it's disappointing. It's frankly shocking to me, but I wouldn't give Apple too much flack, because they quoted standards, and I'm pretty sure they don't want the bad PR that will be associated with AirPower mats burning down people's houses. They don't want a repeat of the Galaxy Note 7 situation a few years back. So I think this is, in the long run, um, they would rather have uh, no product than a really bad product that was released because they want to release it anyway. And you gotta respect them for that. But yeah, I mean, in the long run, is it that big of a deal for everyone else? Not really. I mean, you can pick up wireless charging mats that do charge 3 devices, just not, you just can't put it wherever you want, because as Apple has shown us all, this really couldn't work right now. Maybe a few years in the future, Apple or some other companies will try again, and I'm pretty certain that they will, because now that this concept, now AirPower has become just a concept, just an idea now. That other people, it has opened up Pandora's box, and then now more people are aware of that. More people will want to try that out, and that's absolutely a fantastic thing. I would like to see whether it's Apple or some other company really try this out. I think it will be a huge victory for the entire industry if they manage to nail it down, or maybe in a few years, truly wireless charging, so it's like an Echo-like device that like beams power. That I thought that was pretty cool too. Either way, um, it's just really exciting, and there's a renewed excitement because people have tried, and a lot of times they fail, but you know, that's how you start a success. There's a bunch of failures, and of course this is a high profile one. I don't think it's wise to announce it that early when they haven't nailed everything down, but it's just proves to the entire industry that they have to curtail everything. They have to curtail expectations and make sure not to disappoint people again. So it's a great learning experience. It's a great life lesson for everyone involved. And I'm actually pretty happy in the fallout here. I'm not really as sad as people think I am. But yeah, that's my thoughts on AirPower. Uh, AirPower's cancellation. I do think it's a fun device, but of course you can't do it now, but you can do it later. So uh, careful optimism is advised. All right, that's my commentary. What do you think? Leave your ideas in the comment section below. I do read them. I just don't talk about them often, but I do read them, and maybe I'll give you a little heart if I agree with you. And have fun.